can we revise for the psychology test coming up with together?
Budapest is the capital of what European country?
I thought Europe was a country. Budapest? I never even heard of that.
1 week later.
What is cognitive bias? Cognitive bias is a mental shortcut that we use when estimating probabilities. When we're trying to assess how likely a certain event is, we often make our decision by assessing how similar it is to an existing mental prototype. Why it happens. Every day we make thousands of separate decisions, and our brains are wired to do so while conserving as much energy as possible. This means we often rely on shortcuts to make quick judgment about the world, and one of the ways to do this by categorizing things around us. In our daily life, we are constantly bombarded with sensory information, and it would be easier, faster for our brain to process these information by categorizing them, instead of interpreting them with system 2 every time.
Let's try an example from a study by Kahneman and Tversky in 1973. I want you to imagine that there's a really hip and happening party going on. At this party, there are 30 engineers and 70 lawyers. I'm going to tell you a bit about one person at the party. His name is Jack. Jack is a 45-year-old man. He's married and he has 4 children. He's generally conservative, careful and ambitious. He shows no interest in political and social issues and spends most of his free time on his many hobbies, which include home carpentry, sailing and mathematical puzzles. Okay, so now that I've told you a bit about Jack, do you think he's an engineer or a lawyer?
So, how can you avoid this bias? It is actually really hard to avoid this bias. As humans, we like to categorize things, and it helps us to simplify the world, which helps the efficiencies of system 1 when it comes to decision making. So here's a way you can avoid it. Reflecting on a judgment. As you are making decisions about people or events, spend a few moments thinking about how bias might be affecting your choices. So another way is to apply logic to the problem. As you solve the problems, focus on thinking through them logically. Learning more about statistics and critical thinking might be useful to get around with representativeness heuristic.